Hey there everybody, my name is Kat Bowser. I'm your resident fantasy therapist and welcome back to my channel. Those of you here for the first time, welcome. My name is Kat Bowser. I'm a licensed therapist. I'm also a writer working on my first two novels, one a standalone, one the start of a series. And on my channel I like to talk about what I consider to be the heart of all writing, and that's the characters. And of course the heart of the characters is in their psychology, so that's the angle I like to take with pretty much everything I talk about on my channel. So last week I didn't do any videos, and the reason for that is because I was recording these videos. I would like to call this week essentially the week of the storm. Reason being that this first video should be going up on the 17th, which is a Monday, and that is 1 week away from the release of my friend Marion Blackwood's third novel, A Storm of Smoke and Flame. And I love this series of books that she has put out. I have done an ARC review for every single one of them, and I sincerely hope she continues to let me do so because I thoroughly enjoy doing it. So this week I wanted to call some attention to the series that she has created so that hopefully next Monday on the 24th, when she releases her third book on Kindle, the paperback will be coming later, you guys can give it some love. So today, to start off, I'm going to give you guys my ARC review. So this is the third book in her series, and as I do with all my reviews, I will be giving you guys the basic, I try to give you guys basically the summary from the back cover essentially, and then I give you guys what I liked, what I thought needed work, and what I thought was particularly unique about the story. And then lastly, I will give you guys a what I call a psychological realism scale, which is essentially if there were any mentions of mental illness or just basically the psychology of the story in general, how accurate do I think it was. So that being said, as with all of my reviews, these are non-spoilers. I will not be telling you guys any significant plot details that you can't get from essentially the back of the book. So that being said, let's just jump right into it. Okay, so like I said, when I give you guys the summary of the book, I'm just going to stick with what's on the back cover. I think that's the easiest. So here we go. What would you do to protect your home? Lie, manipulate, kill? War awaits across the sea. In order to ensure their survival, the oncoming storm and a band of misfits set sail for the land beyond the horizon. In a country where the power structure is as strange as the language, their desperate mission to secure a lasting peace will take them on a journey through halls of power and dark back alleys alike. Trusting the wrong person will get them all killed, but without help from the locals, they have no chance of succeeding. They will just have to hope they have placed their faith in the right people. In addition to the constant outside threats, tensions also run high within the group. Working together turns out to be far harder than anticipated, and cracks form in the bonds between them as personalities clash and weapons are drawn. Relationships will be tested and strained to the breaking point as betrayal forces secrets long buried into the light. The deck is stacked against them, and hidden threats lurk around every corner. Schemes will be plotted, battles will be fought, and friendships will waver. Can they accomplish their mission despite the overwhelming odds, or will they end up killing each other instead? So, like I have mentioned before, this is the third book in the series. So what did I like about this book? Kind of like with all these books, I just love this world so much. I think it is probably the first series since I was in high school that I actively await the next installment. And the reason for that is that every place that these characters go feels lived in. It feels real. It feels nuanced. They have their own home, which we were introduced to in the first two previous books. And then they have this new country that they're visiting in this story. And it's really hard to expand on world building and make it feel natural. But Marion does it so beautifully. it never feels like this was something that we should have been told before. It feels natural that we are essentially exploring this world with the characters, and that is my favorite way to explore a world. It never feels info dumpy, for lack of a better word. It just feels like we are expanding our knowledge along with the characters. There's enough similarity that you can tell these places exist in the same universe. Like it never feels so alien. And I think that's something a lot of times that authors have a difficult time with, is when they're trying to jump from place to place, they try a little too hard to make them too different. And she really strikes a really good balance here of a place that feels new and has different cultural expectations, but it feels similar enough that you can believe this is in the same world. Second thing I love about this book is, same as always, I love the characters in this book. Storm in particular, the main character whose viewpoint we follow, I just really love how distinct her voice is. She has a very strong personality, and she's not perfect by any means. She makes bad decisions, she makes judgments, she makes uncertain choices, and I like that because that's human. That's what humans do. But every choice she makes, even if you don't agree with it, you can see why she did it. And I think that's a really important aspect, especially in a first-person point of view story. Let's see here. I have one point that I want to mention a little later on. So the character relationships, I think, are really well done in this volume in particular. The previous two have always been good about it. I think this one really brings it to a new level, in that the previous two books were kind of establishing the characters and we got to see them interact, but establishing the characters was the main goal. Now we're at the point where the relationships can be the main goal because we know enough about these characters, and it really pans out really, really well because these relationships have evolved, they have changed, they have grown, they have weakened. There are different elements that have been introduced to each of these characters' lives, and that is reflected in their relationships. And obviously, because I promised you guys no spoilers, I won't go into what happens in the plot, but suffice to say there's elements in the plot that really pull that to the forefront, and I love it. But like everything, this book isn't perfect. But there's not a lot I can complain about either. I would say the main thing is I really would have liked to have seen more of this new underworld. Again, because of spoilers, I can't go into too much detail on that, but I just wanted more of it. What we have is good. What we have is well thought out. It gives us enough detail to go with the plot. It makes sense. I just feel like I wanted a little bit more. There is an instance where a character is introduced and we don't see them again for quite a while. But again, it doesn't feel like it doesn't fit. It just feels like I wanted a little more of it. So I would consider that not necessarily a complaint, because I really don't think it's something that's wrong with the story. I just think maybe it could have made it a little bit stronger. So I'll leave it at that. What is something I think is unique about this story? Well, this is going to be not necessarily just this story, but the series itself. And that is, I love the focus on an underworld, on kind of the back alley kind of relationships and people that are in cities. Because usually when you visit cities and stuff, we see, you know, we see the upper crust, we see the nobles, we see how people usually run their lives. We don't usually see the people that are thieves or assassins or prostitutes or people like that. And that's really what she focuses on here. And that is the portion of the world that feels the most fleshed out, and it feels like it fits with the rest of the world. And so I really appreciate that because it's unique, it's not something I see a lot, and it's done very well. You can see the moral code that these people have, even if it's different than what we might consider. You still see it, it's still there, and it still has its own rules and its own politics. And so whenever you introduce that world to the rest of this world that she's creating, it really makes for an interesting interaction, particularly with morals. And I really love exploration of morals, and these stories do it so well. So what would I give it as a psychological realism scale? Those of you who have seen my reviews before know that I very rarely give 5s, and that's because I save my 5s for books that are either true or books that have been based on true stories. But for this one, I would still give it a 4 because I think the psychology of Storm in particular is a lot of fun, but it's done very well because you never really forget her background. You're always kind of given hints of, okay, remember, here's what she's been through. Remember, this is how she grew up. Remember, this is how her relationships work. This is why she doesn't trust people. And all that makes a lot of sense. You see her open up to certain people, but it's gradual and it's done for specific reasons, which makes total sense for someone who not only is unsure about trusting pretty much anybody, but is also someone that is still kind of relearning trust and kind of figuring out, you know, kind of what's in it for me kind of idea. And that's the kind of personality that Storm is. And so matches completely. I love it. So overall, I would give this book 5 out of 5 stars. Like overall enjoyment, the way it was put together, the plot, the characters, relationships, I think it's all extremely well done. Like I mentioned before, my main complaints with this book is just that I wanted to see more of it. I wanted to see a little more of these new characters. I wanted to see a little more of this world. And I always think that's a good complaint to have. Especially because, like I said, I don't consider it to be something that makes the book lesser. Like, I would love it if it was added in, but without it, the book still stands solid on its own. So that's my thoughts on Marion Blackwood's latest book, A Storm of Smoke and Flame. You guys can get it on Kindle starting a week from today, next Monday, and she will be releasing the paperback a little later on. And also she is releasing the 4th book in October. So we will be keeping an eye out for that as well. So thank you guys for chiming in for my review for this latest edition in the oncoming Storm series. I hope you guys found it informative, and I do hope you will give her some love and check out these series of books. Like I said, been a long time since I've really looked forward to the next installment in the series. So I hope you guys will find that it is as enjoyable for you as it has proven to be for me. As always, if you guys have comments or suggestions, feel free to leave them below. I will get to them as soon as I can. I'm aware the video is kind of funky on this one. I'm really not sure why, but it is. Hopefully I'm going to get that sorted out as the week goes on. If you guys like this kind of content, make sure to subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss when I upload. I try to upload twice a week, once beginning of the week, once the end of the week. This week, like I said, I'm calling this Storm Week because I will be giving you guys a new video every single day, Monday through Friday, just to celebrate and prepare for Marion's next book release. So until next time, hope you guys stay safe and have a good one.